Hey everybody, it's Anthony with the Meat and Two podcast. Hey listen, we are going to be having a best of this week. It'll be episode 11 with Shane Simpson. He is a turkey killer. We just didn't have time this week to get a podcast cut with Dustin out of town, and now we're in Nashville at the National Wild Turkey Convention. So look forward to a great episode next week as we talk about everything we did, saw, people we met, all the stuff we probably bought. Anyway, you guys sit back, listen to this best of episode with Shane Simpson. With turkey season just around the corner, he has got tons of great advice and pointers for all of us to learn from. Anyway, have a great day, great time, and we will see you next week. Ready over there?
Yes.
All right. Episode 10 coming at you. Episode 10.
This will be 11.
No.
You just uploaded 10.
Oh, that's right. Episode 11. You are right. I thought you was telling me I had a booger hanging on my nose. You stuck that one up.
No.
No, I guess that's why it was on my mind. I just made episode 10 live and hot and ready for everybody to listen to. And we got a few minutes for another special guest comes on tonight, so we thought we'd take a few minutes and kind of update you where we are. First off, once again, we're here in the kitchen studio. Where are we at? Smith Lake, Alabama, people. And I'm not supposed to say people, y'all. So, folks, the nation, the Meat and Two Nation. But anyway, I thought, we'd just take a few minutes before we get him on the line and just catch everybody up where we're at. I don't know where to start. I know this one that just went hot was basically about when we were in Wedowee. So I didn't do any hunting after Wedowee. I hadn't been anywhere else. Kind of got ready for... Well, I didn't get back from the Eclipse thing, until that Tuesday.
That's right, yeah.
And so I had to work, and then we left early. We left that Friday for Kentucky.
Yeah, we left about 2 o'clock.
About 2 o'clock, hit Nashville at the perfect rush hour time. So cost us probably 30, 40 minutes to get through that mess. But had a fun trip up to Cadiz, Kentucky, as far as the travel was. Old buddy Alex gave us a call on the way up. I just finished their podcast tonight, and, I don't appreciate him really talking about my bodily functions. But, he brought that up. I guess if you tell him...
Are my swinging misses?
Well, he did say he may get a little trouble for that we might want to kept that quiet, but, it was just kind of a Hail Mary anyway. The bird was leaving the field. It wasn't like it was a feather popping.
It won't be my last one.
No, anybody's last one. If you think it's your last one, you're fixing to miss. So, but anyway, so we hopped in the truck Friday about 2 o'clock, hauled up to Tennessee. I think you took a picture, made a little reel, rolled into Kentucky. Then we got up to... I don't know what time, probably 6 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock when we got up there.
Yeah, probably so.
Checked in the hotel and...
Which we thought that they didn't have our reservations.
Yeah, we went in there and I had reserved the room this time on my credit card. You had done it last...
It was back in March.
Yeah, back in March when we ran up there before Alabama season came in. We went up to do a little scout and put a camera out. And I went ahead and said I would reserve the room. Well, it didn't dawn on me that he left the room in your name, but just used my credit card to reserve it. So we get in there. I tell him my name, and she said, I don't have you down or something like that. I don't see.
She
it.
had that funny look. Yeah. We were just like, oh.
Yeah, I'm thinking, well, you got my credit card number. Here's my, it could be William Crow. It could be Anthony Crow. We went through all that. And then I don't know if it was you or me, one that said, well, check Dustin Miller. And that's what it was. A little bit of relief came over both of us, I think. Because I'm not sure we got a room.
I mean, and we didn't get our exact room that we normally get, but we were close. It worked out. It worked out.
Once again, let down by the hotel manager. A hotel manager, not that one.
But it didn't catch on fire.
No fires.
Quiet.
No. We had a little, what's the Mexican music, what they call that?
Latino music.
Yeah, I mean, down the hallway. That's who had our room.
Yeah.
Was apparently some construction workers or something, but they were
it was Friday night, and they were unwind, and they got paid that day, ready to have a little fun.
And they were playing some mariachi music or something. When I come down through there, I could hear them. So they quietened down. It didn't keep us from sleeping anyway.
Well, and we missed a little bit of it when we went over to eat dinner.
Oh yeah. Where did we go?
KD's Family Restaurant. It is the best.
Folks, if you hunt close to KD's or in KD's and you stay there, go on down, leave the main drag there off the interstate, hang a ride in the old business district, and go to KD's Family Restaurant. You will not have better home-cooked food, kind of like Mama made it, and you sure won't get a better price. So we ate the buffet that night, right?
Yeah.
They had fried chicken and catfish, every kind of vegetable you could imagine.
Salad bar, dessert
big,
bar.
nice salad bar, yes. Homemade banana pudding. And I held off that night. I knew it was there. But I'd ate that big, giant fried chicken breast, and I just couldn't eat anything else. Throw those mashed potatoes with gravy on it and them green beans like Granny used to make.
Lima beans.
Oh, limas. And I'll be honest with you, them limas are my favorite. I mean, my favorite bean of all. I mean, purple hull peas and lima beans, so that's my go-tos. Now I'll eat just about anything, as you can tell, but what was it, $12.99?
$12.99.
All you can eat buffet for $12.99. They'll also cook breakfast all day if you want it.
Well, they have a breakfast buffet.
And they have a breakfast buffet. That's right, because we'll get into what we did here in a minute, but the next morning after we hunted, that afternoon we came in, and of course they had a lunch buffet, but I really didn't feel like eating that much. I knew we was going right back out, so I ordered me just a
patty melt.
Patty melt, yeah. I was trying to think of the name, and you had breakfast.
Yeah, even though it was like 1 o'clock in the evening.
Fried bologna, eggs.
Yep.
So it was we got back to the hotel. Was it that night? Yeah, that night. The guys from the field trial with the dog said, let us in on a little secret. But we already knew the secret about KD's Family Restaurant. So
wasn't our first rodeo.
No. As a matter of fact, Sunday before we left, what did we do?
KD's Family Restaurant.
That's right. And did we do the buffet? Yeah, we had to have.
Yeah, we did.
We did the Sunday buffet.
Yeah.
Because that's when I couldn't stand it and had to get a little banana pudding. And it is homemade and served hot. It's the real, it is like your grandma made back in the day. There wasn't nothing opened up in an instant pack. That stuff was cooked. It had that good old meringue or cow slobber, like I like to call it.
Yeah.
All over. It was super good. But anyway, we could talk food all night. Why don't you tell them about Saturday morning?
Oh, Saturday morning. We got to our spot early, super early.
Way early, right? Yep. Plenty of time. Lots of darkness left to get ready.
Sat for a little while. Finally got out of the truck, started getting our stuff together, started breaking finally. we ease off so we can go to our listening spot. And man, was we in the right listening spot.
We was in the right spot. And if you saw our reel we put up of all the hens yelping, that's about where we were standing when it started. Or we done moved on down. Right in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So give you an idea of how, but it wasn't a far walk, a couple 100 yards, maybe 300 yards, but not much more than that. So.
And did we get to hear the sweet sounds of spring?
I don't even think I heard a bird tweet before the first gobbler fired off.
No. And I can tell you this, it's been a while since I've heard that many birds triple gobble.
Did you even hoot, or did the owls start? Or did you fire the owls up?
I got the owls fired up.
Okay. Well, they went crazy, and so did the turkeys.
Yeah, and once they got fired up, there was no need.
It was unbelievable. I was trying to keep up with how many and what. And they were all grouped together, so you could count. Yeah, I knew there was 3. Then I feel good, almost sure there was 4.
Yeah, I feel pretty confident there was 4.
And we were scrambling to find the right spot, the right tree, and it was still plenty dark. They probably were less than 100 yards easy. I really don't know why we couldn't see them. I'm glad we couldn't, because they had seen us.
Just the canopies up over us, you couldn't really see out.
I mean, it was still pretty dark when we got set down. I mean, it was perfect. I know you shouldn't do it, but I was already thinking about not just killing one turkey, but doubling on turkeys. Because I'm thinking, man, surely to God, 2 of them going to break away from this group, because I didn't hear a hen.
I didn't either.
And I thought we were in the money right there, because not a peep. You know, when we were there in March, the hens were crazy. And the few pictures we got, you counted 20 something?
22 hens and 4 gobblers.
And I feel like that was the 4.
Yeah.
Probably the same 4, but no hens. And I'm thinking, man, they're going to come in here and we're going to have to go eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Which one am I going to shoot in the face today, mo?
Well, and I'm not sure that the coyote that got within 3 yards of us,
I forgot,
didn't have something to do with those birds.
I caught a glimpse of him.
Right.
He was way out across the line in that other.
He was in the pasture.
Because at first I thought, is that a turkey? Because it was just a glimpse, just a ball of something I saw there, and it was still pretty dark. And then he crossed probably 50 yards in front of us through the fence. Because I was saying, I don't know if you saw him right then or not, but he was making a beeline to us. And we hadn't really caught a tree up a couple times, but
I really think it.
You think that's what he?
Yeah, because that happened to me a couple years ago. I had one. I'm telling Jamie, shoot it, Jamie, shoot it, because he'd done come in on us hard, and that's all we were doing is tree up. And then Jamie didn't shoot. Thing finally figured out what we was, smelt us, whatever, and it run off. And I said, "Why didn't you shoot?" He said, "Man, it's TSS, $10 a shot." And I said, "I'd have gave you a shell, man. That was too close." He done boogered our hunt up.
I wasn't going to shoot. I would have normally shot. If we hadn't heard a turkey or they were way off and we knew we was going to move, that would have been a dead coyote. Yeah, I'll spend $10 to save turkey and deer anytime. But he came within 5, 6, 7 yards of us before he turned. And I don't know if he didn't see us. He didn't run. I think he knew something was wrong.
Probably smelt us.
But he didn't run. He just kept going. He just went right on by the tree and on off behind us.
What was so funny, though, with all that gobbling going on, if he'd want to double back, he'd just kill me and you, because we were.
I paid no more attention. When he was gone, he was gone in my mind.
When you said he just cleared my shoulder, I said, okay.
But it did not affect the gobbling.
No.
I bet the birds gobbled 200 times. Now, maybe not quite that much, but it was close. If you counted the doubles, triples, and quadruple gobbles that went on, it was amazing.
That part was what was amazing, and never could get it. Never could record the audio.
Yeah.
Tried every time and would get a gobble here and there, but not what I wanted to get.
And then as soon as you turned it off or right before you turned it on, it would go into that long cadence of gobbles.
Yep. Which we do have a little clip from that, and I don't think we've put it up yet.
No, I don't think so.
I think we just put up my grass calling techniques.
Oh, yeah. The turkey whisperer, the turkey ninjas.
Man, that one guy, he commented hard on me. He said, that sounds terrible. It was kind of a joke.
It was a joke when you're bored, and
you've got.
We'll get to that in a few minutes.
Yeah,
but you just kind of find something to bide the time.
Well, we got to talking about how back in the olden days and this and that, and people talking about TSS this and blinds that, and we were talking about, well, what if you was out there with old single barrel and in blue jeans and plaid? I mean, I seen a picture this week a guy posted, and it had a like a turkey pitching up and an Indian with his bow draw back. I'm sure you've seen that, and I was like, and I thought that's exactly what me and Anthony was talking about.
And to our point, if you want to criticize somebody about using TSS or a blind or a chair or camo for that matter, why don't you just go ahead and get you I want you first to go out and kill you a deer with a spear or a longbow and tan that hide and get into what the Indians wore. I want you to walk or ride a horse to wherever you go hunt. And I do not want you using a shotgun. I may allow black powder, but if we're going to criticize modern technology, when does modern start? I don't. Does modern start when they quit throwing rocks and figured out a bow or spear? I don't think so. But don't criticize a man or woman for using TSS or using a blind or using decoys. Because let me tell you, Indians use decoys. They knew what they were doing. They're the ones that came up with this reaping the fan stuff. They used that. And, you may not agree with it. I'm not a big fan of it. Have I tried it? Yeah, I tried it one time out west, but it didn't work.
It's more of a safety aspect for me. If that's the way a man wants to hunt and it's legal in that state, and I could care less.
And it's not legal in Alabama.
Right.
I don't know if it's legal in Kentucky. We weren't going to try it anyway, and we were on private ground. We knew it was alone, but that's not our style.
Well, with turkey hunting, sometimes you're not alone.
No, when you think, you're right. I heard a story on the Bear Grease podcast. They was telling turkey stories, and a guy was on a man's, I don't know how many, maybe he had 1,000 acres. And he had chased a turkey, and he set up on the turkey, and he said next thing he knew, he heard a shot, and everything went black. And he wasn't sure if he had crossed a property line. But I don't know if I don't think the guy killed the turkey, but he shot him. He caught shot in the face. Nothing ever happened because I really think he didn't say anything because the time to anybody. I mean, he told his hunting buddy that he had stayed back what happened and told the landowner later. But I don't think he was sure if he was on the property because he was chasing the turkey. He didn't know if he crossed the line. But come to find out, he was well on the property. It was a poacher that come in.
Yeah.
Not even the game wardens were notified. But anyway, let's get back to what happened as the sun came on up Saturday morning. And the turkeys, I guess, pitched down somewhere.
They went somewhere. They didn't come into our lap like we hoped.
Oh, no. I was already trying to figure out how we was going to clean 2 birds and what we was going to do. And you're not supposed to. And I know better. And I told you I thought they would get quiet when they hit the ground. They had gobbled so much.
Yeah, you called that.
And they did get quiet. And they stayed quiet for a good while. And then finally one gobbled. Maybe a couple gobbles. But
yeah, that one that was down behind us on that.
No. I'm talking about after they flew down. And
yeah, in that bottom.
Yeah, I didn't even mention the ones we heard behind us and down the road. But anyway, when he gobbled, they were a couple hundred yards probably further away from us and headed off the property.
Never even caught a glimpse of
Never
them.
saw them.
They went deep, which Well, me and you kind of got to look at that area. We figured that out that, later on, like why we couldn't even see them from where we were at.
But then we went on after we looked at that. It was kind of like we'll come back over here and look and set up, maybe hunt in the afternoon. But we still had a lot of morning left because we did try to move around, and we did go to the end of the property.
Tried to get in front of them,
and we thought we heard a jake gobble. You thought, yeah, but then what you said, you thought it was a jake right off the bat.
I thought it was a jake.
And then it gobbled better.
And
did we decide if that was there was that farm right on the other side? I'm not so sure that was a farm turkey. I'm still not convinced, even though that guy was out there with his post driver. I'm just not convinced. We didn't hear no gobbles that next day over there. And to me, an old yard turkey, they gobble all the time. I don't think.
Usually they'll gobble to your footsteps.
Oh, almost anything. But we had all heard one that morning before we set up back behind us. We didn't go to them because we had the whole group on the other side of the road. Then once we found they had left us, we got down there and we heard one. If we were facing the backside of the property to our left, there was one way back off. We thought he was off the property, but really after we got back in there the next day, I don't really believe he was off the property.
I think we found his strut zone.
I think we did too. And then there was another one, though, back to the right toward that other corner where that culvert is, where that drive comes in at.
And then I think we heard a couple faint gobbles completely across that other county road down there in those fields.
They may have been in Cadiz. I'm not sure they were so far away.
I think they were down there in those other big agricultural fields.
But we made a big loop that morning. We did set up and call, and we heard gobbles that morning up till probably 10 o'clock, I guess. And then it really got quiet.
10:30.
And we worked our way around, and about halfway back on the other side of that creek, we come up on I'd been calling a little bit, but I think we may have flushed one. I don't know. I'm not sure. I still might think that might have been like a buzzard, because I think that was a buzzard Sunday that come up that I thought was a turkey flying.
Well, we did spot that one hen coming across that cut ag field.
Oh, yeah, sure did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when we were sitting there against the fence.
And then we went and eased up, set up on that because we didn't know how many birds there was.
Seen plenty of deer.
Oh, Lord. Tons of deer.
Aren't they curious when you're not deer hunting?
I mean, they stayed, them two was maybe like 15 yards from us.
Yeah.
And just kept staying there and moving their heads around looking. Yeah, it's pretty funny how they're curious.
If that had been December or January or November or whatever, they wouldn't have stood there like that.
Smoke.
Because we were moving and you see them and talking. And
yeah.
They ran back a little piece and then they come right back again looking and finally worked their way around us. And I think another pile of them come around just a few minutes later, another 4 or 5. Then we just worked our way on back, called it a morning, and went and got us some Cadiz Family Restaurant breakfast and lunch. Then came back.
And you want me to speed the evening up?
Speed it up because it was a long. I'm telling you, my butt is still bruised.
We hunted from 2 o'clock until almost pitch black dark.
Yes, I was, and we sat there because we kept thinking those birds were going to work their way back to where we were, and hopefully they would roost somewhere close. So, anyway, we did that, and we gave it up, and went on back to the hotel and changed and run and grabbed us some dinner and went to bed. And needless to say, we'll make it quick. Sunday was no better, not a gobble.
Well, you had to hold your hat on all morning, 17 mile an hour straight line.
Yeah, the winds kicked up, but nothing gobbled. Didn't see a turkey. Didn't really see a fresh trap, but they don't walk the roads.
And once again, though, we hunted.
But we didn't see a turkey driving home either. So I think it was just a day that they stayed off or did something. But
we did find some good sign though. We found some scratchings from the day before. I mean, we found a couple new areas.
And all day long, my camera kept going off, and that dang turkey over here at my uncle's farm was just posing in front of me. Posing. And he's still posing, and he's going to die. If I have something to do about it, I'm not going to be the one to kill him unless my son don't show up. But he's supposed to meet me here at 12 o'clock Monday.
I hope he gets, because he hasn't killed one since he was
12 years old. He's 31.
It's time.
And I'm gonna set him up. I'm still torn about what gun. I'd really need to borrow yours, I guess.
I'm gonna send it with you Sunday.
So
you ain't got no choice.
Well, that way if there's two, we can double. That'll be a great memory
really cool
for him and me.
Yep.
And when I'm not too far from my memory going anyway. He can remind me in my senile days. Yeah, you remember that, Dad? I'm like, I don't remember none of that. But anyway, we're going to take off in the morning. I've been going all week to Orlando. You've been looking at jobs and doing your thing, but I just got in not 30 minutes ago. And but we're going to leave out in the morning, headed to Savannah, Tennessee, and see what we can do. I know it's going to be raining, so we're not going to leave quite as early as we plan. I need to
going to be cool up there this weekend.
It's going to be a little cool. I've got my thin thermals, so I'll
we got to drop your truck off, get them tires put on.
Tires put on there. I got 50-something thousand out of that factory set, so I can't say nothing. They've been good. They still got a little tread on them. Anybody needs some tires? Come on, give me. Now, I'm not even going. I'm sure they'll keep them, dispose of them, or whatever they want to do. I don't want to bring them back here. You're welcome to them if you want them.
I'm good. I got new tires on everything.
But yeah, we're headed up there, and hopefully we'll have some luck, and then we'll be back around for the next week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we're off to Oklahoma.
I'm excited about that trip. I've only been to Oklahoma a couple of times and never been that far west in Oklahoma, so I'm excited about that.
But anyway, we're going to kind of wind up our update here and bring our guest on here in just a second. And I'm assuming he's probably ready to go, so we're going to have, well, I don't know. We might want to wait until we'll let you introduce him once we do get him on the line.
Hey guys, we are here with our special guest for tonight. I'm sure pretty much everybody knows this guy if you watch any kind of turkey hunting. I've been following him for years, and it's awesome to get him on the show. And Shane Simpson, how you doing tonight, Shane?
Doing pretty good. I'm still tired, like I told you earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you just came back from where? South Dakota, North Dakota, somewhere over there?
I was out west hopping a few states.
Hopping around, okay. So
yeah.
No matter where you're at out west, it's a long drive to get home.
Yeah, and we were fortunate we had tags in both states, and so we were kind of avoid the rain, bouncing around. We were in South Dakota first, and then we went to Nebraska, and then we saw it was coming there, and some snow, and so we headed back to South Dakota, just kind of bouncing around to avoid the terrible weather. But yeah, I'm now just got home this evening.
So Shane, where do you currently live at? Are you still in Minnesota?
Yeah, I live in Minnesota, in cities, North Metro. I'm from South Carolina, but I've been here for over 15 years now. So people think I was born and raised here. Somebody called me a Yankee together.
Oh no, I was going to say you haven't lost that Southern sound. I could tell you weren't born in Minnesota. I got too many friends up there.
Yeah, I've lost some of my accent though. I mean, up here they think it sounds strong, Southern accent. Back home, and people think I've lost some. So it's not as pronounced as it used to be. It's still there.
I know all about that. My wife's from Chicago, and when I go up there, everybody's like, "Can you talk?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can talk." And they're like, "No, will you just talk?" And I'm like, "What do you want me to say?" They're like, "We don't care, just talk." They need a translator half the time, you know.
I don't know. They seem to like it. Though. People up here love a Southern accent. I don't know why. They do. Or they like hearing and make fun of us after we leave.
I think that's part of it. You know, I was in New Jersey, not turkey hunting or anything, but I was just up there and ordered in the drive-through, and they had me order twice. And then when I got to the window, there's like 4 people standing there, and it's like, yeah, can you talk some more? And I'm sure that's the same thing. It's the same thing. They laugh when you leave. So yeah, but yeah, I can still tell. But yeah, you don't have near a pronounced Southern accent. But
yeah, well, South Carolina doesn't quite have it like say somebody from Mississippi.
Or Alabama for that part.
Yeah, Alabama, Mississippi, those things, or get up in the hills of Kentucky. Oh my goodness!
Oh,
yeah. But different type of Southern accents, but they're all strong and have their own little dialect, little nuance, I guess.
Well, we were talking earlier before we got started. You were giving us some great tips on Onyx. Do you want to touch on some of those?
Yeah, so it was just basically one tip, I guess. I don't know tips. The first one I color code and mark pins so that at a glance I can tell what it means. Like yellow is for male turkeys. Whenever I see a male turkey or a fine male turkey track, and so I will put a track icon and then turn the pin yellow, and then use the track icon for hens and the icon white. And then if I see a gobbler, whether it's a chick or a tom, I'll mark it yellow, but then I'll use the chick or the tom icon. But I also, like we were talking about my hunt, one recent hunt, we put on like 5 miles checking out this new area, and I was dropping pins as we went. And when we got done putting all those miles on, I told my he was with me, I said, man, look at the concentration of pins, all the turkey activities close to the parking lot up to the first mile, the first half mile to a mile in. I said, we don't even need to concentrate on the back half anymore. And so we went that evening, we went back out there, and I said, we'll stay here at the parking lot and coyote howl. Sure enough, I coyote howled. There was 2 birds set off, and while I was trying to get the camera out because I was going to give them the gobble again, my buddy got his binoculars. He said, heck, I see him in the tree. Wow. You could see him about a half mile away there up in the tree. And so, things like that. I mean, I do the same thing when I'm riding on the road, like going through Indiana once, and time I see a dead turkey or see a live turkey. You see a dead turkey, usually that means there's a higher population of turkeys, especially if you see multiple turkeys on the road, like cars hit them. Because turkeys don't typically get hit by cars, not very often, not like deer. And I was going through Indiana, and I saw some off the side of the interstate, and then I saw some more. I saw a dead one, and I saw another dead one, and I saw another one, and I saw another dead one. I'm like, I was dropping as I go, and I was like, man, this place must be low turkeys, all these turkeys I've seen. And so as I'm just dropping pins as I drive, it's not putting any details with it. When I get to the stop, I look at it, and I'll see if there's any public. There was public in the area. It wasn't right near turkeys. It was, a few miles away. But I said, turkeys here is probably turkeys a few miles away. It's probably going to be an area I focus on when I go to Vienna, next year or the year after. So a lot of people, they ride around or when scouting, they don't put much thought into that. But you can see conservations, and it'll help you key in on to good areas. Same thing in Illinois. When I went and hunted a couple of years ago, I guess, it was rainy. It wasn't very good weather. And I spent a lot of time just riding around, getting used to the area, familiar with it. And I was dropping pins when I saw turkeys. And there was this one area that I saw in a matter of less than an hour, multiple turkeys across the road right there. And so the rain just about let up. I said, I'm gonna dive into that spot. It seems to be a good spot for turkeys. I walked back, struck a turkey in my first owl hoot, or a turkey call. And less than an hour later, I was toting a gobbler out of there. So, I mean, those things, it certainly helped me. I believe it's helpful for them if they do it.
Oh, you're 100% right. I'd never really thought about that myself. And trust me, I'm going to start doing that. Or whichever, Dustin and I travel a lot together. So whoever's the passenger, they're going to have the Onyx out. And, walking too. I mean, I've really never thought about even marking tracks, but that makes so much sense. Strut marks, tracks, everything.
That's why when we were talking earlier about why I have 5,000 pins on Onyx is because I marked so much stuff like that. But, I'll try to go back and clean up like those X's I marked as I'm riding down the road and seeing dead turkeys. Then I may delete all those and put one pin that says, and put details there. This area, I saw a lot of dead turkeys, live turkeys along this 5-mile stretch here. I don't need 100 red pins along the interstate.
Well, you've been videoing your hunts for a long time. I read a little bit of background and stuff on you, and you've been videoing your hunts since you were a kid. What I read,
basically,
right? Yeah,
about 14.
Yeah,
about 14 or something like that. I used to have to carry a big old VHS recorder around with me, and do it as well as I do it now. I didn't have there was such thing as GoPros back then, so everything was on that main camera. You had to do recreates if you wanted to show the hunter, moving the gun or clicking the safety off. It was all after the fact. And then cheesy. I mean, but there was no other way to do it back then. And so now with the action stuff, it's like, man, I want people to see the true action and the true behind the gun actions, what we're saying, our reactions, our movements, what we're getting away with, what we're not getting away with, that sort of thing.
And I think people want to see that. That's so much better than the old. I learned a lot what I learned from like hunting the country and stuff, but a lot of that was recreated. I mean, they're not going to get in front of the guy of the gun barrel, or whatever, but
show his hand move down to flick the safety off.
Yeah.
There's a gobbler 15 in front of you. I was thinking about that when I was driving back home this afternoon. You're on the road for hours. You get plenty of time to think to yourself. And I was like, I used to, one of these guys in the outdoor industry, I was making this was early on in my YouTube stuff. And he's like, man, you got to keep your videos down to 3 or 4 minutes. People don't have the attention span to watch anything longer than that. And back then I was like, oh, okay. And I'm like, but I can't follow what I'll need to in a 3 or 4 minute hunt, And so I was thinking about that. I said, why would he tell me that? Why would somebody only have, because my videos are much longer than that. And I was like, I bet I know the reason why. Because back then, there was no, like, in my videos, let me back up. In my videos, I try to people from point A to point B, how I got there, why the decisions I was making, why I chose this spot, the tactics I used. But back in the day, the TV hunts we'd see, they're hunting outfitters most of the time. All that stuff's prearranged. There is no strategy. It's basically they set up at a tree and then it gets light and the birds gobble and they call them in. So you don't need to show 20 minutes of that. That's why they condensed to 3 minutes. That's the only thing I can think of. There, if you look back at all these hunts, like I used to watch HRS Strut shows, and it was one video one tape would have 10 or 12 hunts on it, and each one was a couple minutes long. Because they basically it opened up with them sitting there in a blind or behind a tree with some boys and calling, and the turkey pops over the hill. That was basically it.
Well, I think.
But go ahead.
I just left a conference. I own a heating and air company, and I had a social media class, and that's exactly what they told us. They told us we got 30 seconds to capture the person's attention, and they move on. And maybe that's what they're thinking. They're trying to relate that type of,
Yeah.
I'm trying to get a guy to call me. He's going to move on, but I think it's different.
You're trying to sell something.
That's right.
You're trying to sell something. That's what they were doing.
Exactly. But that's not what you're doing, and that's not why we watch you. I don't particularly care to watch a 2-minute hunt. I mean, not unless there's going to be 20 of them or something, where I just hunt after hunt. And then to me, that gets very repetitive.
Yeah. One of the things I like watching is like Dan Infalt, Hunting Beast, some of his older stuff. I sent Dan a message one time. I said, Dan, I wish you'd put more videos out often, not because of, being successful or anything like that. I really love the way he broke down and how he explained. He would actually point with his hand in front of the camera to this tree. I want to get to that tree and do whatever. And I told him, I said, I thought it was so cool how he was explaining. I was incorporating that in mine more. And you'll see my hand in front of the camera and a tree that I want to get to, or just different things, explaining exactly why I did stuff. Because, and I guess more or less my personal reasons, that's what I wanted to see out of other videos. When I'm watching other people, I want them, why did you do that? Why'd you make that call? Why did you go here? Give me a little insight. And I guess that's why I do my videos the way that I do.
Yeah, you guys that do that, I mean, especially for a novice hunter or somebody that's just getting into it, I mean, you're looking for those tips, maybe a trick or advice. I mean, when I started, I didn't have nobody in my family turkey hunted, and turkey hunters sure didn't talk 30 years ago. They didn't want you to know anything, so, and there wasn't a YouTube to go to anyway. So, I see that. The people like you, Dave Owens, are really good about explaining what's going on or what happened, or just like you said, I need to get over here, or, the turkey's gobbling there, so we need to move here, or I'm going to move. Or
Shane's not scared to bust out a compass. I love to see that compass come out. I'm ex-military, and I was watching one of your videos the other day, and you busted a compass out where a bird was gobbling, and I was like, oh yeah, there's the old compass.
Yeah, I used to have a little teeny one with me, but I didn't feel like it was as accurate. It was like a little cheap one you get at Walmart. And that I have a bigger one now here with me. And I used to have one of those when I was a kid. And it's probably a cheap compass too. I probably should break down and buy a better one. But I think it seems to be pretty reliable. But it's helped me a lot, not only figuring out where I'm actually going, because I can't always trust my phone. Your phone, it's not Onyx's fault. It's not whatever app you're using's fault if the compass is wrong in your phone. It's the phone itself. The app is only as good as the built-in compass or magnets or whatever's in the phone. There's several things they use in a phone, but anyway, that helped us out. Just this week, we were moving in on a bird, and we dropped down into a canyon, and all these little finger ridges come out, and I was like, we need to go this way. My buddy's like, yeah, that's right. We got to get up that little knob there. And I was like, but this doesn't seem right. And so I get my compass out, and I said, those birds were north of us, but north is 90 degrees to our right by this compass. And he said, that can't be right. I said, well, this compass has never been wrong. So I get my phone out, and I turn Onyx and put it in compass mode. It points 90 degrees to the right. And I say, well, compass and Onyx, my phone can't both be wrong. So he pulls his phone out, does the same thing. And I was like, man, we've got to trust these devices. I said, and this compass, I was like, we must have got turned around. I don't know how, but I was positive north was straight in front of us. So, and we couldn't see in there because it was so thick, the woods. And so we started walking. We trusted the compass and our phones, and we took a 90. And sure enough, we popped out on the knob we really wanted to get to. I said, thank God I had that compass with me, because we would have came up the wrong knob and probably bumped those birds.
Yeah.
So it comes in handy a lot of times, especially when I'm trying to triangulate a position on a rooster bird. That's where I use it most.
Yeah, I like your tip on that, on going to two different points and finding, trying to figure out close to where that gobbler's at. That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's hard to do sometimes because it's hard to move 4 or 5. I usually like to be 400 or 500 yards apart from the first point where I got them to gobble, but it's hard to move that far and get them to gobble again in some cases, unless you get them to gobble from the road. But I've had a lot of times I can get them to gobble, and then I move to the next spot, and they won't ever gobble again. And I don't know if they saw me moving, or the vehicle was enough to keep them from gobbling, or they just finally went to sleep, put their head under their wing. But it just helps with accuracy as far as where they're at. I had a video I just dropped recently where I only was able to get 100 yards or so apart from my 2 points, and I wasn't able to get a very accurate beat on whether I had the direction down to a T. Just the triangulation basically helps with distance.
Right.
You can hear a guy there and you can guess that he's 300 yards away, but if you can get 2 points and then draw those lines where they intersect, then it'll tell you exactly how far away he is.
Well, it's always good to have one of them hooting sticks with you. I love mine. I mean, I started using one. I started using one.
He's had 2.
Yeah, well, hey, one of them got run over in Texas. I dropped it at a gate one morning, and a guy come up with it, and he said, "One of y'all drop a owl hooter?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I accidentally run over with my Toyota, but I've got it right here." And it worked. It still worked. We used it in Kansas and roosted one last year with a crack in it. It still sounds better than anything else I've had. But
I don't carry mine, but if he's with me, I just let him pull out his hooter.
I
you
upgraded.
got one of the ones I put together, or is it an older one?
No, it's one you put together. Actually, I upgraded this year and went with the Osage, and
okay.
And I actually did your tip and drilled one side of it out. I think a week ago.
Yeah,
and
big difference.
And it's a huge difference. Because at first I was I told Anthony, I said, I kind of like my synthetic one that got run over. And I don't know, when I drilled that hole out just a little bit, it went to, I don't know.
It really increased the volume.
Yeah, and for some reason, maybe it's just the way I use it, which probably ain't correct. I mean, I watched your videos, and that's kind of how I got started on it. And but I've been able to make birds gobble. I got the owls fired up last weekend in Kentucky, and that got the gobblers fired up. So,
if you getting those owls to fly into a limb next to you and start hooting at you, you're sounding good enough.
Are you? I know you used to be in the calling circuit. Are you still doing competition calling?
Yeah, I don't do it very much. Like I did the Iowa contest last year when Scott Hook passed away. I was headed down to Arkansas for his funeral, and that contest happened to be a couple of days before it. So I just stopped in Iowa and competed on the way down. But I hadn't done one, for a while since, and I don't do them anymore. I do go to Grand Nationals and compete in the owl hooting, although I think it'd been like 4 years or. It'd been a few years since I've done that, and I went this year and competed. And I was so nervous on that stage. It was like my first time, because I guess when you lay off of it for a few years, and oh man, I did terrible down there. I rushed my routine. I had a routine down that would take 55 seconds because you only get a minute, and if you go over, they dock you points. But I looked at the clock after I did my routine. I still had 15 seconds left, and I'm like, wow, that's not good. And I went back and watched the video, and I was so fast in my routine, and I was like, yeah, whatever 4 scores I got, I deserved them. And the sound wasn't there. I mean, it was obvious that I hadn't prepared for this contest. I mean, even though I can run an owl hooter pretty good, I think.
Oh yeah.
You still need to present it in a way that, just to make it seem more realistic, kind of paint a picture while you're doing it. Your sound's got to be there, and the presentation's got to be there. You got to have all that. And I don't even think I had the sound in Nashville. I was probably so nervous that I was messing up things, but it is what it is. I'll do better next year. I hope.
Well, when I was doing some research on you, I noticed your daughter, she's called competition, correct?
No, she's retired.
She's retired.
She did well from a very young age up until I forget how old she was when she was almost a teenager when she quit. She's getting older. They're doing doing things in school, sports and stuff, and then plus they start getting a little embarrassed about you know how it is. We make turkey sounds. We get on stage and make bird sounds, and to her, she finally came to the realization. She's like, I can't believe I get up on stage in front of people and make bird sounds. She was getting to where she's kind of embarrassed about it. I don't know why, but that's just, teenage girl, I guess.
Does she still turkey hunt with you?
She hasn't in a while, but she wants to. But she's got, like I said, she's a teenager and she's in volleyball. She's doing track and field, and that's year round. I mean, when she's not in high school volleyball games, she's competing in club volleyball, which is in winter and summer and spring and wherever. So, like right now, I told you earlier I had to run into volleyball practice tonight, and that's till 9:30. And then, today she had a track meet. So she just doesn't have time. But she did ask me, she's like, about going turkey hunting this spring. So if there's a day that we can fit it in, we'll try to. But right now she's putting sports ahead of that, ahead of turkey hunting.
I guess your schedule keeps you on the road quite a bit during turkey season.
Yeah. I don't get much sleep, and that engine in my truck barely stops. The only time it's not running, it's when I'm out in the woods. If I'm at my truck, it's either idling while I power like inverters and stuff, or charging batteries and copying files to my laptop, or editing, or it's running while I drive to my next destination.
Yeah, so it's just nonstop.
Yeah, it's if they had one of those hour meters like they do on a forklift, my truck would have 10 million hours of runtime on it.
I've got a Duramax, and it does have the hour meter, and I worked a lot of hurricane relief, and I had kind of looked at that hour meter before we went to the hurricanes that hit Northport, Florida a couple years ago. And when I come home, I was amazed. I had idled so many hours while I'm on the phone or, trying to do paperwork, and I was like, oh, my miles on my truck ain't a whole lot, but the hours is crazy.
Yeah, I don't even want to see mine. It ain't like I can resell my vehicle. If they looked at the hours, my truck's literally falling apart. I live up here in Minnesota, for all the salt and stuff on the roads eats vehicles alive. My truck's an 06. It's got 350,000 miles on it, and every time I shut a door, a piece of rusty metal falls off the bottom of it. And just this week, I shut the rear hatch, and when I did, a piece of metal fell, and then there was a hole right through my rear lift gate, right where the license plate is. And I'm like, I knew it was a rusty spot there, but slamming it shut, and it just fell out, and now you can see inside it and the wiring and everything. And I'm like, it's about time to replace this fella.
Oh, yeah. There's been a lot of memories in that vehicle, I'm sure.
Yeah. A lot of blood in there, too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I didn't know. Like I say, I was kind of researching, and I saw where she used to do competitions, and I totally get what you're saying. My daughter, she turned 13 today, and she don't need me anymore.
Yeah, same here.
She plays volleyball, and she's not.
They only
home.
need you for your money and a ride around at this point.
So she did yesterday. She took off with a friend to some kind of candy convention up in Pigeon Forge, and then they're doubling back through Nashville for the Grand Ole Opry and all this stuff. So she's not even home on her birthday, and but she did need some money from the old man before she left, and not a little
they're
money.
Nice as can be.
Yeah,
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
Well, you will get smarter. Trust me.
Well, I've got a limit on her debit card now.
I've got a son. No. They'll come back to you for advice. I've got two sons. One's 31 and the other's 29, and I get the calls now. Can you tell me how to do this? Or when we did that. So they all come back around. And I've got two stepdaughters. Well, they're mine. I've raised them. So, and it's the same way as, you're not as dumb as I thought you were, where they don't need you. And all of a sudden you're important again. It comes back around. So,
yeah. Don't want to be seen with you at school in front of their friends.
Yes.
So I get my daughter. She's like, there I am. And she just like, she sees me like at one of her games or something. And she's like, she's with her friends. And she's like, just kind of shuns away to kind of redirect her friends this way. That way she doesn't have to talk to me in front of them. Because I'll embarrass the hell out of her. And I'll do it on purpose.
Yeah, my daughter, she doesn't like me to, my hunting truck, I've got a little Tacoma, and it's got a camper shell on the back, which is so convenient for hunting, And she's like, Dad, you got it. I take her to school, and a lot of times she's like, Dad, you got to take that thing off. I said, I bought this truck for that camper shell. I said, that thing stays there. Well, it's just such an old person. I said, I am old. You don't see all this gray? I said, you're just causing more and more and more. But you should see my daughter. She hates my little Explorer, and she goes to a private school, and the parents of all the other kids are much more well off than I am. Just put it that way. And so they're driving, really nice cars and stuff. And even the students are driving nice cars. And I'll take my daughter to school in my old beater Explorer. And she's like, do you have to take me to school in this? You need to sell this thing. It's so embarrassing. And I took her to school one day. She said, pull in that parking spot right there. And I pulled in there. She opens the door and ducks down and shuts the door, and while she's ducking goes to between 3 or 4 cars, and then stands up like she didn't get out of my truck, like she just popped up from another vehicle. I'm like, I said, is it that bad? She's like, yeah, this truck is dirty and it stinks and it's ugly. I was like, well, when you get older, you won't care what you're driving. You just need something to get you from point A to B. That's right.
As long as it's reliable.
I was kind of the same way when I was her age, though. I mean, I was, I guess all of us were. We want to be seen in nice things.
Well, but I think a big problem with kids now is they see us with a little nicer things, and they're going, I can have that right away. Instead of working their way up, they don't know how long it's taking everybody to get to where they're at.
Yeah. I mean, we have nice vehicles. I just rather drive my Explorer. It's like a glove, man. It fits real well, and it's comfy for me. And it's reliable. The other ones, I don't know. The Navigator I have is just a gas guzzler. I hate driving that thing. It only gets like 14 miles a gallon. But anywho, y'all didn't have me on to talk about vehicles.
Well, when you start talking about kids, you can go down all kinds of rabbit holes.
Yeah.
So, how many more states are you going to be able to hit this year, Shane?
Not a whole lot. I'm a hunt Minnesota. That's going to start this week. Sometimes I go down to Iowa and hunt with friends or video them or Wisconsin. But this year I decided to try to get a turkey with an eastern wild turkey with my recurve. I've got a Miriam's, but an eastern I think is going to be almost impossible because I don't hunt with a decoy and without a blind. I'm going to be basically running and gunning with the recurve. I got to get and it's going to be on public lands. And these birds I chase in Minnesota, if they pop up over a hill, they're just like Mississippi gobblers. They pop up over the hill and they see something out of place, they're gone.
Oh, yeah.
And so I didn't schedule a whole lot of hunts with others once Minnesota comes in because I know it's going to take a lot of attempts to get just an opportunity at 15 yards to draw back on one, much less, release the arrow and hopefully make good contact. So that starts this week, and I'll do that off and on throughout the rest of the season. Probably go back to Iowa, We got some Wisconsin hunts planned, and then Michigan. So that's basically it. I may go back out west. I'm not sure yet. I still have a tag that's available out there. I did kill one bird out there, but if I get a free day, maybe if this week goes well, maybe I get extremely lucky and I do get that bird my recurve, then I'll have some days available. I could go back out west.
So I take it that you're very scarce at work during turkey season like we are.
No, I make it to work often. I don't have to use a whole lot of vacation. My schedule allows for a lot of hunting because I work 3/12s and then off 4 days. And so if I take a week's vacation, that gives me, basically, I take 3 days off. That gives me, what is that, 8, 9, 10, 11 days in a row off. And then I also, like if I hunt Wisconsin or Iowa or something, I get off on Sunday. I'll drive down to Iowa or over to Wisconsin. I'll stay there for 3-4 days and then get back home Thursday night before I work Friday. That's like today. I got back today and I'll work tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday. Then I'm off for 4 days and hunt Minnesota. So just my schedule itself allows a lot of hunting.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good setup there for you, especially.
Yeah, and I hate it if I have quite a bit of vacation. I've been in this company a while, and I'd hate it if they ever went out of business or they got rid of me, because then I'd have to start from scratch somewhere with no vacation and working 5/8. You wouldn't see very many videos out of me then.
That'd be rough there.
I need to start selling more turkey calls, and then I can afford to work part-time at McDonald's and then turkey hunt.
Well, I was going to ask you, we know all about the owl hooter. How many other top calls do you've produced that's out there?
So the owl hooter is something I put together for hooks.
Right.
That's their product. I just tune it, assemble it, and I know how to make them sound as best as I can. I can't go into detail because there's, how it is.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
no. Yeah, I don't need no trade secrets. We know how good it is.
Yeah, I mean, people can bust them open and see the parts, but they don't know behind the scenes on how everything is put together to make it sound, as good as it can be. And I think there's some more ways you can do it. I always tinker with those things to experiment. But anyway, I do that for hooks, and I do paid for that, obviously.
Now, do you tune every one of those hooters before they go?
Yeah,
out?
every single one of them. Yeah, I did 2,000 of them so far. I've got another 600 sitting here now that I've got to try to put together, and I'm doing 50 to 100 each weekend when I get off work. I work at the 3/12.
Yeah.
I get home at 6, and I try to put some together each night before I head out to my next state. So, yeah, they got me putting those together now. And then I make mouth calls. So if you go on my website, all the ones that have SSH in front of them, Shane Simpson Hunting, those are the ones I hand make myself. I don't sell any calls that I didn't make, any mouth calls. I don't have anybody make calls and I market them as myself. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I do sell hooks calls on there that I don't make them. I just have them on my website. And so, because I pro staff for hooks, and but also, our agreement, I can sell my stuff too. So that's been going on since I've been with hooks. I will be coming out with a pot call next year.
Oh, really?
And yeah, it's a dandy. I'm not making it. Me and a buddy, he's a fantastic caller and call maker. We've been collaborating together on different things. And we've got a pot call that I think sounds phenomenal. I've been hunting with it this spring. And so you'll see it in the videos when they come out next February, March. And then it'll be available on my website. It's actually, I'll let the cat out of the bag a little bit here. The call that I hunt with, every time I kill a bird, I set it to the side. And that call will be sold. It's one I hunted with and killed a bird with.
Well, go ahead and put me down for one, please.
Yeah, me too. I want one of them.
And And so there's a couple already set aside now to go on the website next year. And then there's duplicates that are made just like that one. And we're taking the feathers from the coverts, or whatever you call the feathers back there near the tail fin, from that bird, and we're putting them in a limited supply of 20 or 30 calls that have the feather from that bird on that hunt. So you'll have the one of one that was used on the hunt, and then you'll have 20 or 30 calls with a feather inside it from the bird of that hunt. They'll all sound the same, but one will have a little more value.
See, we may not be able to release this podcast, so we can save this information and get our order in early.
Yeah. You could just omit this section of this discussion.
Well, Shane, what is your website again if people want to come on there and order?
Shane Simpson Hunting. But don't be looking for any mouth calls or owl hooters right now. We're all out of stock. And the synthetic ones, I may want to make a few of those each week. And hooks, I've just been sending them the hooks, and they put them in stock on their website.
Okay.
Any of the wooden hooters, I'm still waiting to get some more of those in so I can make some more of those. I imagine it'll be June before we have any. So all of the
owl hooters, you don't make a Shane Simpson Hunting owl hooter. You make every one of those for hooks.
Yeah. Okay. And I make a little commission off those.
Sure.
And
I would hope so.
I mean, it helps me pay for these turkey trips, and they know I know what, or I guess they suspect I know what an owl's supposed to sound like. I've won enough calling competitions with them, and I know, and so that's always been my thing. When I see people, not to get on a soapbox, but I see people that are selling calls or have pot calls they make, for instance. And I saw a guy post, this was like a couple of years ago. Somebody said, he posted up his pot call, picture of it on Facebook, and somebody said, let's hear a sound file of it. He said, well, I can't run a call very well. I'll have a buddy do it for me. I was like, I'm thinking to myself, you're the call maker. If you can't run a call, how can you build a call that sounds good,
Yeah, how do you even know what it's capable of?
Yeah, that's always been my thing. Have people that know what the sound it should produce. Have those guys making them or putting them together or doing whatever. And then you'll get a better quality, better sound.
And you should. And if it doesn't sound good, you shouldn't be selling it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where I give, like Preston Pittman and Ron Jolly, they were making some calls for Turkeys for Tomorrow. And I was talking to Preston. They got behind. And he said, we had, the pots that didn't come together. It didn't sound good. And he said, we're not putting them out. So they were rebuilding all their calls. They had promised people, they were giving you a pot call and some stuff when you join, the organization. And so, yeah, I get it. It should sound good. You're only going to get one chance to impress a guy anyway. And if you buy a call, or whether it's a mouth call or a pot call or whatever, if it doesn't perform like you promised, they're not going to buy another one.
Yep. And that's good what they're doing. You toss out the ones they could have easily just glued it up and sold it.
Oh, they could have. I mean, I've got a couple of them and they sit on a shelf. I'm not using them, but it's nice.
Yeah, I've got one downstairs.
Yeah,
I've got one downstairs now from a great call maker, and it was an NWTF limited series, type of deal.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't even scratched the surface of the glass of this pot call. I know it's going to sound great, but it looks so good, and I just have it on a little display on my mantle. It'll never see the woods.
I just got one in today. I actually bought one. It was going to be one of one, and it's a glass, but it's got each of the 4 subspecies feathers in it, and I bought it to where when I had finished my Grand Slam, I was going to go back and write, the state, the county, the date behind each feather on the wood behind it, and just put it up. And when I bought it through a charity auction. He had the guy that was running the auction had this guy actually go ahead and rough the surface, and it covered one whole feather. And I wasn't ever going to use it to put in my vest. I was going to put it on the shelf. So we sent it back, redonated it to their auction, and the guy made me another one. So now I guess I've got, 2 of 2. I've got the second one. And I'm glad in a way it happened, because I didn't pay but just a few $100s for this call in the auction, and the one I sent back and they rebid out, I think it went for like $1,400. It really made a lot of money for this family. Yeah. See, I mean, his calls never go for that much money, but it was for a good cause, and it worked out. Worked out real good. And my replacement just showed up today. Well, it may have been here a couple of days. My wife didn't go out to the mailbox, which I was concerned about because we've had some rain, and I pulled it out and brought it in today and looked at it. So I've got it sitting here to finish up. It's a beautiful call though. So
yeah.
But
we'll be definitely looking for those podcasts.
Oh, I'm going to be I hope you put out a little alert. They're about to go on pre-order now, and I'm going to do it.
Well, I'll give you a heads up. Hold on, man. The dogs are wrestling in here. Get them out of here. I'll give you a little tip to what to look for. So when I start dropping the videos next spring or late winter, February, March, each video there'll be a pot call that I'm using in it. As soon as I post that video to YouTube, that call will appear on the website along with the others. So wow. I guess people just need to know every time Shane drops a video on YouTube, run to the website because a call just went up there that I'm using.
That's super.
You'll actually get to see. You'll get to see the call in use on that video, and then you can decide whether you want to buy it or not after you hear it.
Well, we're at the convention every year too. So we help a friend of mine with legacy game calls, William Terry. I don't know if you know William or not. He's a good guy. He builds a lot of calls. Yeah. But
Legacy is out of Catawba, South Carolina.
Yes, they sure are. They sure are.
That's where I'm from.
So
down in Rock Hill, which is right next to it.
They're really good people. They've been good to us over time, and we go in and of course they get slammed during the show, and so we help them. We get to, of course, we can walk away from the counter when we want to go look at something or watch something. We're definitely going to if you're going to be in the owl hooting contest next year for sure. We're going to be back there watching. So
yeah, well, if you're at the convention, just come up to me and I'll tell you when the next video is going to drop.
There you go. That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, now we're getting that insight. I mean, we did actually bump into you the last day of the show this year. I know you probably talked to 1,000 people like we did, but yeah,
it was ridiculous this year.
That was crazy, wasn't it?
God. I knew it was going to be another record, but it was just amazing how many people, were there. But also I talked to. I could not get through an aisle without talking to someone, and that's what I love about that place. It's a bunch of turkey hunters. That's who I want to be surrounded by.
And it didn't matter if it was the most famous person there to somebody that, like me, just walking around. Everybody was so nice. You didn't get, nobody turned their nose up to you or didn't have time to talk. That's what I like about it.
Yeah, I've told people that a number of times. I said, if you go to Nashville, it's probably one of the best outdoor shows there is. I said, because, if you got a favorite celebrity or something or an outdoor personality, the Mark and Terry Drury, Michael Waddell, any of those guys like that, Ron Cuz Strickland. When you're there at the convention, you can walk by. If you're especially if you stay at Gaylord, you'll run into them in the halls, maybe at the, in the evening where they're having dinner. You pass them or at the exhibit hall. You can talk to them just like you've known them all in your life. They're going to talk to you. They're not going to shun you away. Most of them won't.
No, you're right. And I've got it's not a first edition. I have a second edition Tom Kelly 10th Legion book, and I've been trying to get I guess the OGs is what I call them or whatever, the guys that came up through this, the cousins.
The sign?
Yes.
Did you have me sign your book?
I will most definitely have you sign.
No, I was going to say, because someone had me sign their 10th Legion book.
You haven't signed mine. Somebody else is copying me out there. No. That's what I was going to tell you. This year, I had it in my backpack, and I picked up the wrong backpack, and I didn't bring it with me. And I swear, everybody on my list to sign that book, I walked right by that was sitting there that had all the time in the world. You walk up, say Wilbur Primos is out there. I mean, generally there's 25 people lined up, just to get a picture or something like that. I walked right by the man 4 times, and he's by himself, and I could have had him sign it 100 times or whatever, at Toxie or whoever. And it was just, I could have kicked my butt for doing that. But no, I will have it with me next year, and I am going to find you. You will sign it for me, I hope.
Well, I'll tell you the same thing I told that guy when he asked me to sign. I said, man, I'm not deserving to be signing your book, the 10th Legion. But he insisted I sign it. I was like, man, you need. I said, man, I'm just a hunter like anybody else. I just put my hunts on YouTube. That's all.
Harold Knight told me that same thing, and I said, oh yeah, you are deserving, and you are too. I mean, you guys, you're the ones that's putting all this out there, and I mean, I know you come along, after Harold and that generation of hunters, but still, if it wasn't for guys like you, me and Dustin wouldn't have anything to do sitting here for sure to talk to or talk about. And
hey, I learned how to run my owl hooter.
I know.
Yeah. Watching Shane's video,
and he runs it very well. That's why I don't have to carry mine when we're together. I just let him do all the hooting.
Hey, I've watched all your tutorials on mouth calls, but I can't compete with you on that. I can't even get started good. I broke them back out last week. Watched some more of your videos. I mean, people.
Are you saying my mouth call tutorials don't work?
I'm saying this old boy's mouth don't work like yours is what I'm saying. And I still ain't figured out. I about drove my wife crazy to the point of divorce trying to figure out that coyote howl on a mouth call. I just can't do it. I can't do it, and I cannot gobble on a mouth call. I have tried and tried and tried.
The gobbling is the hardest thing for me to figure out too. What's his name? Gosh, I'm having a brain fart now. But he competes in Nashville in the gobbling division. And what I used to take my mouth call and turn it up, kind of like a tube call, and put it in front of my teeth, but behind my lips.
Right.
And it didn't sound as good, like blowing a tube call. And I was like, man, how do you gobble that thing the way he does? It's just having it in your mouth the normal way. And he gave me some pointers back there, and I started playing around with it. I finally started making a decent sound. And I still got a long ways to go with it, I think, but it sounds much better than it did when I was doing it the old-fashioned way.
I sit there and, try to practice with a call not even in my mouth, just getting that rhythm and that cadence.
Yeah.
Yes, and then it's like when I put the call in, it's just like I forgot everything that I had just been doing for 10 minutes. But yeah, the gobble has been a struggle for me, and it's so funny because I'll see 7 and 8 year old kids come up with a mouth call and they'll just gobble like crazy, and I'm like, come on. But
well, I'm older than both of you guys. I'll be 59 in a couple of weeks, and I can't gobble on one, and I don't think I ever will. So I'll leave that to you guys.
If it makes you feel any better, I don't use a gobble very much at all in the woods.
And that's what I told Dustin.
If you hear me gobbling, it's me screwing around with some jakes in front of me.
Yeah, I've been really turkey hunting serious probably for 30 years, and I've never gobbled. I'm not going to say I didn't carry a gobble shaker with me and run one or something, but it's never brought one into me anyway. So
I've killed a few with the gobble, but like I said, I mean, but it's not something I use very often at all. I mean, I can probably count on one hand how many times I've killed a gobbler because of it. It's just, and maybe it's because I don't
be able to do it.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing for me. I just want to do it.
I mean,
yeah.
We
just go ahead.
No, I was going to say we've hunted with Eddie Salter a couple of times.
That's what I was getting ready to talk about him.
Oh, really?
When he shoots a gobbler, he jumps up and goes, "Ow!"
Oh, and
it's like, even if you're not using a gobble to kill one, you can jump up after you shoot one and go, you know, like the Eddie Salter call sign, but with a gobble.
That man, and trust me, I don't know how well you know him, but he is everything you see. That's him. He is as true of a human on TV or out in public as he is in private. Oh,
yeah, you can talk. I mean, you can tell that by watching his videos. When he starts talking personal about his gout in his feet, you know, well, that's him.
You could be riding down the road though, and in between, when he might finish a sentence, and that's what he'll do. You know. And you're going, I think he's done it so much, he don't realize he's even doing it.
I think when he used to travel so many miles, he would just do that to pass time because he'll be in like mid-conversation with you. And
just gobble.
Or hoot.
A hoot, yeah.
He's not going to do anything. He's making noises all the time.
He and I must be a lot alike because I get criticized at work and in other places. All of a sudden I'll just bust out like a natural voice owl hoot, and it's not like really loud. I'll just go ooh, 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 like that. And my coworkers are like, "What the hell was that?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm just daydreaming outside the owl hoot."
That's what you need to do every time your daughter scores. It's a volleyball game. That'll make her happy.
Coyote howl.
Yeah, coyote howl, owl hoot. You know, there's a guy. His name's Clay Newcomb. He works for Meat Eater now. He has a podcast on their network, Bear Grease.
I've been seeing the TikToks.
Oh, have you? Him and a buddy of his are, you know, apparently basketball is huge in Arkansas. I mean, I didn't, you know, I thought of it more of an Indiana North type thing, but I guess it's cold enough up there. You know, it's more inside. But that's what they do. They owl hoot when his nephew or his son's team scores a goal. They go to owl hoot, and he said there'll be people across, the visitors, looking at him like, "What the hell? What are y'all doing over there?" And he hoots very well too.
Think they would expect that.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that part. I haven't seen that part on TikTok. I've just been seeing segments from the Bear Grease.
It's a super podcast. I mean. Yeah. He does more documentary type stuff. I mean, it's a great. Yeah. I mean, I listen to a few of their things, but
this is more of a bear related topic. Though,
No. It's called Bear Grease. They rarely talk about bears. He used to own Bear Hunter magazine. I think that's where that came from. No, he does documentaries. Maybe I need to tune in. Oh my goodness, you need to take a listen to some of his stuff. He's done, and they're usually 2 and 3. Maybe 4-part series, and in between each one of them, they do a bear. He calls it Bear Grease Render. He'll bring in his buddies, and they talk about the previous episode. So a 3-week episode lasts 6 weeks, you know. But he did like a 3-week deal on just the book Where the Red Fern Grows, which was growing up when I was a kid. That was my book. I hate to admit it, but I cried reading the thing.
I watched the movie.
Oh, the book is so much better than the movie. I saw the movie too after I read the book, and it was like, oh my God, it wasn't even close. You know, you just imagine things in your mind so much more vivid than a movie can tell stuff.
I wish I could read. It's not that I'm illiterate. It's just as soon as I start reading some words in a magazine or something, I start getting drowsy. I don't know what it is about reading. Reading puts me to sleep. And so I'm like, just put it in a DVD format or, video format.
I'm not a big reader at all. Most of my reading came when I was in school and had to do it. So, But yeah, I mean, just glance down through some of his episodes. There's some interesting stuff. He's a good, I like him because he's the only Southern guy on the whole in the whole Meat Eater crew. So
I've had all these. Maybe I should look into things before I make assumptions. I just assumed because he was part of Meat Eater that he was out from out west. And in the podcast, because of the name, I figured it's more related to bear, and I'm not interested in bear hunting, so I just never even looked into listening to it or tuning in.
No,
but I have been seeing little snippets on TikTok. He's been having like guests on there, talking about turkey hunting stuff, and that's why I guess they showed up in my feed.
Well, did you see the one he had, the old man? It was just on.
Yeah.
That was owl hooting and yelping on the back of a mule going down.
I saw the guy that was owl hooting, and then he had some funky turkey call made out of, I forget what it was, some old turkey call, and he had some decoy that had feathers plastered on some. Mm-hmm. Is that the same character?
No. This guy, he's got to be in his 70s, and they're riding. I don't know if they're going on a ride. They squirrel hunt off these mules a lot, but it was just like owl hoot for me. They're just riding along, and he's videoing this guy, and I mean he hoots and he does everything by voice. And he said, yelp for me, and he yelped and he cut and he purred. I mean, he did a whole. It was amazing. The old guy. I mean, he sounded better voice than I could ever sound on a call. So yeah, that's something to pass the time when you're not hooting in the truck by yourself or gobbling. You can turn that on.
Yeah. Is that on Spotify?
Yes, yeah, he's on. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, he's on all the major things. Kind of like we're trying to be. So I think we're on every one that most people listen to. So.
Yeah, Spotify's the only thing I listen to because I tried. People send me links to podcasts for the Apple version, and I don't know. I guess I'm not familiar with it. And I'm like, I'm so used to Spotify, I know how to navigate it. And I'm like, send me the link to Spotify.
I think that's the one my wife listens to. I listen on Apple because I had an iPhone when I started listening to podcasts, and I got addicted to them. I think I got about 20 or 25 I'm subscribed to. So I never listen to all of them. I don't have time. I only listen while I'm driving back and forth to work. And we don't even listen driving on trips. So we're too busy running our mouth or looking for turkeys or doing something.
Yeah, I tell you, here's something that's probably going to shock a lot of people, because I know it shocked some people when I was in turkey camp a couple weeks ago. They were talking about, asked me what I listen to when I'm on the road. I'm driving hours. I said, most time, nothing. He said, you just sit there in your truck in silence? I said, yeah, I'm in my thoughts. And I said, when I'm thinking about the trip ahead, the hunt, my cyber scout, and I don't know, I'm just thinking nonstop. And half the time I get so deep in my thoughts that I don't even remember driving the last 2 hours. I'm like, I don't remember making turns or anything. And it's like I blacked out. But I do occasionally listen to podcasts. Most of the time it's when I'm, I stopped somewhere that I'm listening. I don't know why I don't listen to anything when I'm driving. I guess I enjoy being in my thoughts more than hearing a bunch of rambling.
Yeah, well, I guess that's what I got. I guess once I grew up a little bit, I got away from music and I started talk radio stuff and that kind of thing. And then, I don't know, I just moved over to listening to podcasts. That's about all I listen to anymore.
Yeah.
If I'm listening to the radio.
Yeah. Well, I do listen to a little bit of music occasionally. Especially when I'm at work, that's all I listen to. I don't listen to podcasts where I listen 12 hours straight of music. I listen to some podcasts when I'm driving, or most of the time it's silence. But I do have an audio CD of turkey sounds stuck in my CD player in my truck. It won't eject. It's been in there so many years. And I listened to that thing for most of the drive to Nashville this past February for the convention. It was just nonstop yelping and gobbling and owl hooting and crow calling, hawks, and I'm sitting there. I was basically practicing. I was practicing doing, I guess it's red-tailed hawks or red-shouldered hawks. On a mouth call. Mm-hmm. I'm always tinkering with trying to do different animals on a mouth call.
Well, if you want to hear Eddie gobble a lot, he was kind enough. He came on one of our podcasts, and I mean, from the time the first thing out of his mouth was a gobble.
Yeah,
He's
I
so
think
funny.
I think I listened to that podcast.
Oh, did you?
I'm pretty
Okay.
sure I did.
Okay. He was nonstop. We didn't get a word in the whole hour. I mean,
he was wound tight.
He was wound tight.
Well,
He'd been out on the tractor and was late, and then man, he laid into it.
It was definitely the podcast I listened to then, because I said something to my friend. I said, "Damn, Eddie hasn't stopped talking the whole time."
But when he finished talking, the podcast was over. I mean, he was done. I mean, he finished up and it was over. It was kind of like, okay, yeah, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
And then he called me the next day and he goes, "Was the audio okay on that?" I said, "Oh yeah, it was fine. It was fine. How's it sound? If it's out yet?" I went, "No, we hadn't quite finished getting everything together on it." And
well, I don't want to hurt your feelings or anything, but when we tune in to the guests, like I was listening to Eddie Salter, we didn't tune in to listen to the host. We tuned in to listen to the guests.
That's why we try to get somebody on here that somebody interested. That nobody wants to listen to me and him, and so yeah, people like him and. Most definitely, folks like you guys, or you and anybody out there. They don't.
I hope that didn't come across wrong. I'm just saying, when if I'm listening to music, I don't want to hear the ads, and I want to hear the music. That's basically what we're there for, to listen to the music.
That's right.
And
well, you're not gonna learn anything listening to me and Dustin. That's why. Yeah, if you hear Eddie's on, turn it on. You might pick up a tidbit here and there, or just the history of him. I mean, he was so guys like him. They're not hearing. They're not going to be here long, and you're not going to find people like that anymore.
Well, I don't think anybody's going to pick up much from this, either. We've rambled on about school and daughters and, and sports and everything else.
People love to hear people. Yeah, and if you've listened to any of ours, they're pretty raw. We decided in the very beginning we weren't going to, go out and try to edit and cut things out here and there. It's just going to be a whole conversation from start to end. And if I drop my telephone or bump the microphone, you're going to hear it 9 times out of 10.
What I've told some other people that have podcasts that I've been on with is, some of the best conversation is at 10 or 15 minutes before we start recording.
Yes.
And I told like Jacob Myers from the Outdoorsman, I said, hit record as soon as you call me or as soon as I call you. And then, if you're worried about it being on there, tell me that you're recording after the fact. But some of the best conversations was that 15 or 20 minutes prior to going on.
Well, that's exactly why we stopped. I mean, when we first called you before we hit the record button, all of a sudden it was already getting good. So, 5,000 Onyx points. They had
to upgrade their system.
Yeah. You're the whole reason they had to cause an update. So.
I don't know if I was the reason, but I was one of the issues, I'm sure.
Well, Shane, we know you've had a long week, long day, and you need to spend time with family and relax some. And I mean, we definitely appreciate you coming on here so much.
My girlfriend's sitting next to me, nodding her head. Yep.
Yeah, she's ready. Yep.
Yeah.
She's probably tired of hearing these two rednecks talk too, anyway. So
she's just smiling.
But we're gonna let you go, and hopefully we can touch base with you maybe after season or something, see how everything went. And
I want to get all the turkey hunters' wives on here after season.
That's what we need to have a podcast: wives and girlfriends. What do you think?
That'll be a bunch of talking there. You guys won't get nothing in.
We may not be able to mark the show as clean after that one, especially my wife when she gets started on me. But.
Yeah, just give them all a mic and just hit record and let them all talk amongst themselves, a little round table.
Yeah, we'll let them talk, and we'll walk down on my dock and go fishing or something. Come back an hour or two. They'll still be complaining.
They're just getting started an hour into it.
You're right. Watch it now. You've got to go to sleep with that tonight, so you make her mad. So
she's smiling, man.
Because I don't sleep.
But yes, we do appreciate you taking time because I know you're tired and had a busy week, and you got to work tomorrow, correct? So
Yeah, I gotta be there at 6 in the morning.
oh my goodness, yeah, we need to finish this thing up because we're going to be on the road. I hope somewhere. I hope we're in the Turkey Woods by 6, but it's supposed to be raining and first thing in the morning. So
Oh, that sucks. I hope y'all do well over there. Hope y'all fill your tags.
yeah, I do too. We'll
we need this bird for our 49. Neither one of us.
yeah,
live in
we're
Tennessee,
working on
so.
trying. I'm too old to get 49 states, and I have to work. So if I was retired, it might be different. But I don't think I'll make it. But I'm going to try to get every one of them I can. So we don't have a Tennessee bird yet.
Well, good luck on that. 49, yeah, that's a lot of states, man.
Yeah,
I'll never get there. Part of it's because I'm not trying to get there, but number two is I don't have the money, and well, it's not the money necessarily, but it's the time. Because in order to go to some of these states, you sacrifice hunting time in other places. And when I schedule my turkey trips, I try to plan it where I can be hunting every day that I'm not at work. And if I take a trip to, say, Hawaii or well, that's kind of early, but like California, for instance, or out west, just the traveling there and back eats up days that I could be hunting a neighboring state.
Yeah, and we try to do the same thing. We were hunting Kentucky and Tennessee. We are going to bounce over to Oklahoma in May.
Bounce.
So
that's a long drive.
It's a big bounce from Alabama. So
yeah,
but we did that last year. We were on our way. We had a hunt in South Dakota, but we hunted Kansas and Nebraska on our way out there, and made a trip out of it. But we work too, so we don't have a lot of time. And make the best of it, finish our hunt, and then try just to either turn and burn to get back home. And, we're like everybody else too. You got to hunt all you can when you can. You don't have but a few weeks to get it done, or a month or so to hunt everywhere you want to hunt.
Yeah. And just a few months each year, and only so many years given to us.
That's right.
Try to get as much in as possible.
And those hills are getting steeper and steeper for me. So
tell me about it. I was in them, like I said, we did 5 miles and some steep terrain, and 3 or 4 500 feet elevation changes, and it wasn't kind to my legs. I'd start up a hill. I told my buddy, I was like, man, we just got through taking a break and we've only walked 30 yards up this hill, and my hips are burning already. I'm like, I'm getting too old and fat for this.
Well, all right. Well, look, we're going to let
in Iowa more often where it's flat.
So Iowa's good and flat. I might have to put that one on my list.
We need to put in for tags. For them.
Yeah. We're gonna. That's where I want to hunt, the flatter land.
Yeah, there in Illinois, I guess. But anyway, yeah, I should probably be getting ready for bed.
Yes, sir.
I enjoyed talking to you guys. It was a lot of fun.
Yes, sir, Shane. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And hopefully we can catch up again soon. If not, we'll see you at the convention next year for sure.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds like a plan.
All right, buddy. Have a good night.
All right. Yes.
All right, you too.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was a great interview.
I thought it was pretty interesting.
I guess we could call it an interview, a great talk. I mean, I don't like to look at them as an interview. I don't write questions down or any of that kind of stuff. And my God, what a wealth of knowledge. And I mean, a turkey killer right there. You can tell by how driven he is and how he talks when he drives, marking. I never thought about that. I mean, I have never thought. How many X's we had in Nebraska when we was driving down the interstate every time we saw a turkey?
I'd have just got my crayons out and colored it. But we had that bird fly over us on I-65 coming home,
and we should have marked
it.
From now on, one of us is going to be marking, and I was the passenger. I was the guy that should have done it. But from now on, color coding. I've never thought about that. They don't give you a hen. They do give you a strutter and a non-strutter gobbler icon, but just color code them. Say I color coded them like somebody gave me a pen.
Yeah,
I've got a color for that. I know that's not my pen. but color coding for hens or gobblers or what, Jakes, and then marking tracks.
Well, it would be good to mark Jakes, because if you see a big group of Jakes, next year them's going to be 2-year-olds.
You're right. These places, you may not be back for several years, but if you know that yellow is a gobbler you saw, not just a track, or it's a gobbler, not a hen, and you've seen 5 of them and tracks and strut marks, I forgot about that spot. So
it's like that.
I may go back on my Onyx and start remarking certain things where I know I saw turkeys.
Well, it's like we found those gobbler tracks the other day. We should have marked that. There was 3 sets of tracks from different days.
But we can.
Yeah, we could.
We can. If we're going to hunt that anymore.
But if you were standing right there at that spot.
You're on the spot.
You're within, proximity.
So, yeah. But super nice guy.
Yeah.
I mean, to take the time after driving, hunting, what he said, he hunted 4 days or something like that.
Several days.
And then driving in, and I don't know what time zone they're even in, and he's got to be at work at 6 a.m.
Still got to go pick his daughter up at 9:30, I think. So
yeah. So I don't even know what time it is here, but it's close to that. So yeah, he's probably crawling in the truck. And the truck was, what did he say, 400,000 miles on it or something?
Yeah.
But the tailgates fell apart. That's the kind of guy I like right there. Yep. That's my kind of guy. You walk down and look at my windshield in that old Colorado. It's busted all the pieces. I could put another windshield in it, but it just don't leak, so why do it? So anyway.
Gets you from point A to point B.
Point A to point B. It's my worker. It gets me to Birmingham and back. So, but anyway, I guess we need to get off here too. We got a early morning. Regardless, we're not getting up at 2 a.m. like we had planned, but we still got to get on the road pretty early.
Still got to pack.
Yes, I've still got to load my truck. You probably got most of your stuff in your Toyota by now, but I don't have gun. I don't have anything, so I've got to get down there and make sure my bag's got. I got to make sure I got underwear.
Oh yeah,
so,
and
socks. So thermals. Make sure you pack you an extra thermal top this time.
I did. I laid hands on it.
So, but anyway, yeah, I guess we're going to get off here ourselves and try to go out and kill a turkey this weekend. I hope everybody else is having luck. My luck slowed down. I started out on fire, but I hadn't been to my hot spot in a while. That's coming. Look for an update on that. I'm going to carry my son out there, hopefully first of next week, and get him a turkey. It's hard, but they are your kids. And, I hate to tell him, I'm sorry. I went ahead and killed that turkey I was wanting you to kill. I just couldn't do it. I've been fortunate. I've killed a lot of turkeys. I like watching other people kill them. Oh, maybe not you. I shot that one the other day that I shouldn't have shot. Or shot at, or whatever you want to call it. I just kind of feel guilty about it.
It just happens sometimes.
Well, you should have said no. All you had to say was don't. I would have never knocked the safety off.
If a man's going to kill a turkey, I ain't never told him don't.
Well, sometimes you shoot and don't even tell somebody you're shooting. So
sometimes it be like that.
Listen, Florida happened. I didn't know the gun was going to go off. But with Dowey, when the gun went off, I was down in the bottom. I was laying down, taking a wee. I didn't know it was even going. You didn't even say turkey. You didn't say nothing. I would have said turkey. All right. Tomorrow when I shoot, you don't see it, or Saturday or Sunday, I may shoot just for the heck of it. Waste that $10 shell. I'm not going to shoot just for the heck of it. No. But anyway, all right. You ready to get out of here?
Yes.
Let's get out of here, and I guess a week from now we'll shoot you up another update. Hope I have another guest, or it might be just us two rambling like we're doing right now. Either way, you'll hear from us, good or bad.
Keep passing on the word.
Pass on the word about Meeting Two. Become part of the Meeting Two Nation.
What was it? If you ain't part of the Meeting Two Nation, you're wasting.
Yes, you're wasting if you're not part of the Meeting Two Nation. So anyway, let's get on out of here. What do you say?
Yes, sir.
All right. See you next week, people. I'm sorry, I can't say people. See you next week, folks.